Okay guys, here we are again. So as I promised, I will provide a sling insight how to properly sight your slingshot. So this video, once again, is primarily intended sa mga baguhan dyan, those who are new to slingshot and those who are looking into joining the sports of slingshot shooting. Okay, so our topic is how to properly sight your slingshot. You know, in every sports of shooting, especially shooting that requires some sort of a precision shooting, shooters always follow a single straight line from the point of sight to the end target. They always follow that single straight line. So for the illustration purposes, let us say you are shooting a gun. Okay, you are shooting a gun. For you to hit the target, you need to follow a straight line by aligning your rear sight with the front sight towards the target. See? And that is your guide for a straight line to hit the target. When you shoot a rifle, let us say, with the front and the rear sight, you make sure that your barrel is straight, pointed to the target. That is your straight line to the target. So following that straight line to the target is needed for you to hit the target. And the principle in shooting guns and rifle, the principle in acquiring that straight line is the very principle that apply when you shoot a slingshot. Exactly the very same principle. But the question is, how could I get that single straight line when my sling is made of two bands? How can I get that straight line? Okay, when you give a sling to a person who is new to slingshot, that person will hold the slingshot this way. It's a natural reflex. Almost every person you hand over a slingshot and they are new to the slingshot, they will hold it this way and they will draw their slingshot this way. Okay, and the tendency is they will place their target in the middle of the frame, under the assumption that since the ammo will travel in between the frame, so they will gonna place the target right there. But the issue is this: how could you possibly hit the target if the two straight line in your sling is pointed in a direction away from the target? So how could you possibly hit the target? So in effect, what you are trying to follow is an imaginary straight line that you assume. That is an imaginary straight line that you assume. Whereas when you shoot a gun or a rifle, what you follow is an actual straight line. What you follow is an actual straight line. So to shoot a sling effectively, you need also to find that actual straight line, not the imaginary straight line, pointed towards the target. So we're gonna use two slings in different orientation. The one is set up OTT, the other one is TTF. Now we're gonna look for that single straight line. So I suggest when you hold your sling, instead of holding it this way, just for purposes of finding the single straight line for beginners, okay, what I would suggest, you turn your sling sideways and hold it 90 degrees. Now you draw. When you draw, what you see. So when I draw it, all I can see is one thin, single, straight line. See? Now, what I see is one single straight line, an actual straight line. I cannot even see that there is a lower band. All I can see is just the upper band. And now that single straight line, I will point it towards my target and place my target at the very end of that straight line, which is the very end of my band, the very end of my rubber, or the very tip corner, the upper tip corner of my frame. So this is, let me see, okay? So what will happen is that I will place my target right there at the very end, of my band, right there. So let us say if my target is this, what I will gonna do, okay, if my target is that, then what I will gonna do, I will find that single straight line and place it right there. That is, place my target right there in one single straight line. The very principle when you shoot a gun, you make that alignment, and on the very tip of your sight, you place your target. You place it there. So the very top, you place it there. That is the way you place your target. How about if you are shooting TTF, which is through the fork? Since the through the fork setup, you set up your band sideways, flat. So the very same thing when you draw it in a way that you can only see one straight, wide, flat line. I cannot even see that there is a lower band. All I can see is just one band, one straight band. Hindi mo nakikita yung band sa ilalim. And when you cannot see the lower band, all you see is just one straight band. That is when you know that you are holding your frame right, you are holding your frame square. You are perfectly holding your frame right. And then the very same principle, you place your target on the very end of your line, which is the very end of your band. The very principle, the way you shoot a gun, you sight it, you place it there in the center or in the middle of your flat line, the flat band. So that is how to find that single straight line. Hold sideways. Practice that you can only see one straight line. Now, assuming that you learn to get that right alignment of band and proper sighting, you practice that. Every time you draw, you can only see one line, and you place your target on the very tip of it to shoot it. But somehow you're shooting up and shooting low, higher and lower, despite you are sighting it straight, but you are shooting up or you're shooting low. When you're shooting higher and lower, that is an issue involving your anchor point. Okay, what is your anchor point? So we are referring this type of draw as a short draw. There are other forms of draw, long draw and butterfly, but we will not discuss this because I believe short draw, which is an anchor draw, is the default draw. Every time you give a person a sling to draw, the natural tendency, if it's new to slingshot, is he will draw short draw. There is an anchor point. Natural reflex that he will put his pouch somewhere in between, somewhere in this area. Okay, find your right anchor point. So your anchor point is either here on the upper cheek or in the lower part. So let us say you get the straight line and you anchor straight right to my target, but for some reason my shoot is higher or my shoot is lower. So you made adjustment with your anchoring. Adjust it where the anchor is. You shoot, you draw, you're shooting higher. Do not adjust your point of end sight. This sight should still remain. Do not adjust it higher, do not adjust it lower. But instead, you adjust with your anchor. Adjust. If you're shooting higher, then raise your anchor so that the ammo should shoot lower. If you are shooting lower, no, if you're shooting lower, then raise your anchor. Okay, let us clarify that. If you are shooting higher, then raise your anchor so that the ammo will travel a little bit low. If you are shooting low, then lower your anchor so that it will fly higher. See, look at this. That is a target. That is a target. Okay, that is a target. Now, if I'm shooting low, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower my anchor so that the bullet will fly higher. If I'm shooting high, then I will raise my anchor so that the bullet will dive, will go lower. So you adjust with your anchor, do not adjust with the front end of your sight or the front sight. That sight, the point of sight reference should remain the same. Adjust it here, micro adjustment to find the exact elevation when you shoot. So that is the principle of proper sighting. So as I said in my reel, when I shoot that particular thing, which is less than half an inch, and I was able to smack it at a distance of about 30 yards, what I'm trying to say there is that, you know, you can hit it simply because you understand the proper sighting. So I hope that this will help guide you in the proper sighting of your sling. So as I said, shoot it like you shoot a gun. Shoot your sling like a rifleman do. I hope this helps, clarifies, and if you like this kind of content, of this kind of insight, continue to like, subscribe, and share it to like-minded people who wants to get into the sports of Slingshot. So again, thank you so much, and hope to see you in the next video for some more insight. Keep the fun of sling smacking.